Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for taking some time out of your day to get this information. We really do appreciate it. That's our mission, to get out and give everybody the correct information. We know that you become a point of contact for people in your various social circles. You work for the schools, so they come to you and ask you some of these questions. So we want to make sure you are equipped with those answers and can also point people to the right direction to get some more clarity on anything that they're wondering about. So I'm going to do my best to give you a brief summary of this whole process. And I'll just start by saying there's three huge factors pushing us forward on this issue, and it's what you see in front of you. It's massive growth in Berkeley County, it's the age and conditions of our current buildings, and it's the need to make safety a first priority in all of our future projects. The growth we don't have to say much about, but when we're speaking to the schools in the Martinsburg district, I do point out that while we see this growth all around us, Martinsburg High School was the one district that we believed to be static about 18 months ago. And just in that short of a time, we've learned that there's more than 500 new townhomes and apartments coming right in city limits of Martinsburg. So every single one of our high school districts is experiencing massive growth. With all the residential growth that you see popping up comes really significant commercial and industrial growth. What we've learned through this process is that's actually the best predictor of new students coming to Berkeley County schools. For every 3.5 new jobs created in the county, we're guaranteed at least one new student to walk through our doors. So in 2020, when we were working on that 10-year plan, that CEFP document, we saw all this happening, but we didn't have hard data to make these decisions to go forward on where to build new schools, where was the population going to be most dense. So we employed a consultant, Business Information Services, to do just that. They used about 10 different factors to do a deep dive into growth in Berkeley County in general and how that would affect our school enrollment. And the number you see on this slide is what they've predicted, nearly 4,000 students coming to our schools by 2031. What we've seen so far is that number is trending a little low, if anything. Our growth is actually more than that if it continues the way it has so far in the last 6 or 7 months. To put that into perspective, if you took any two of our high schools and combined them, it would be less than 4,000 students. And we're talking about injecting an additional 4,000 into our current infrastructure. This is to give you an idea of where we are right now. As of September 13, we topped 20,000 students enrolled in our schools. We've got over 1,200 pre-K students spread out in buildings all over the county, everything from elementary schools through high schools. We've got 32 existing buildings that average 54 years old, and 8 of those buildings will turn 100 years old by the year 2030. So those buildings still have good bones, they're being used now, and for the most part we need to continue to be able to use them. So we have to bring them up to date, and we have to take a look at all the systems inside those buildings. Everything has a serviceable life, and in most cases that's come to an end for our HVAC systems, our floors, doors, windows, plumbing, electric, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to take a lot of work and a good bit of money to bring these up to our current standards. So we take all that in and we go back to our 10-year plan, and we see that our 10-year plan now looks like 10 plus, maybe 15 years plus to get it all done. We have a project list that's over $300 million. It included elementary schools, pre-K centers, intermediate schools, a replacement middle school, a 5th high school added to our county, remodels and repurposing of several buildings, and a handful of additions to our current structures, along with literally hundreds of repairs and improvements to all of the existing buildings. So that scope was massive. About 12 months ago, this is what we knew we needed. We started going out to groups within our school system and then out into the community to get feedback. What do you think about a $300 million price tag? What do you think about this long list of projects? And the feedback was pretty consistent that that's too much. 300 million is too much to even wrap my mind around. This list looks like it's going to take years and years to finish. We need to break it up somehow. So since that time, that's what we've worked on, phasing this project into manageable pieces. And as our new board took over in July, they hit the ground running right away to take our proposed phases and turn them into the official phase 1, which will be the bond that you see on the ballot in November. So you have that project list in front of you, but these are some highlights. The major construction projects that are included. include a new elementary school in the north end of the county and another in the south end, a standalone pre-K center in Inwood and one in Hedgesville, remodels to Beddington and Marlow for that pre-K population. And those pre-K projects are very important to the whole scope. They'll impact nearly every single building because they're going to free up 48 classrooms across all of our existing schools. We'll get age-appropriate kids into those classrooms and make a center that was designed for the pre-K population. We also have an addition to Tomahawk Intermediate and a complete renovation of the Martinsburg High School auditorium. Those are the big construction projects, but there's also $34 million of repairs and improvements to all of the existing structures. Those focus on three categories. Student safety is first, health and environmental conditions second, and program improvements third. So under student safety, you see a lot of things like safer school entrances, improvements to intercoms, security systems, camera systems, and fire alarms. The health and environmental category is largely HVAC and fresh air induction projects, and program improvements go from everything to educational setting to fine arts to athletic facilities. It's a total of 102 projects, and the bond issue is just under $125 million. With local support of the bond comes a potential for $25 million in additional funds that we would not have to fund locally, but would come from the state level. The West Virginia School Building Authority has funds set aside for major capital improvements and new school buildings across all 55 counties. There's a lot of competition for those funds, which is why they like to see local support to make your grant application as strong as possible. So we've been in close contact with the SBA. Mr. Stevens and I have traveled to Charleston several times and been able to meet with their board, and they've guided us towards these two projects. The two new elementary schools are the type of projects they want to fund, and they earmarked that amount, $25 million of potential grants for those two projects upon successful passage of our local bond. So how it affects us locally is one of the first questions people ask. What does it cost me as a taxpayer and a homeowner? To the far right of this slide, you see Class 2 owner-occupied property. That's the house that you own and live in. And the cost that you see highlighted, $7.25 per month per $100,000 of value of your home. So if you live in a $200,000 house, $725 times 2 would be your monthly payment to support this bond. So for that $725 per 100, we get $125 million worth of construction. Right now in Berkeley County, we are paying on one existing bond that started in 2009, and it's about to expire in 2025. Historically, we've paid on two at a time. Right now, you're only paying on one. If you look at what we will pay compared to some other counties, that's where I find it interesting. In Roane County, every homeowner in Roane County right now is paying more per month to support their bond than we will pay for ours. The difference is the amount. Ours is $125 million, and what they're getting is less than $10 million for a higher price tag than what we're paying. The difference is the total number of people to share the burden and the high value of our real estate compared to some other counties in the state. So we literally get a lot more bang for our buck in Berkeley County compared to most other counties in the state. That was the super fast summary of this whole project. We've got one more community session open on Thursday evening at Beddington Ruritan. If you know anybody that may have some questions or like to talk about any of this or hear it in a little more detail, please send them out to Beddington on Thursday evening or direct them to our website. Ms. Bobo's department has put together fantastic information. If you click on more bond information, you'll find frequently asked questions. You'll see drawings for all the new buildings, as well as the project list that you could download and share with people. So please check that out. So that was a very quick summary of how we got to where we are, how the projects were chosen, and what will be on the ballot. Thank you for watching this presentation today. Remember, Election Day is November 8th. For additional information or answers to any other questions you may have, please visit our website.